This is the CNC Router Tips Podcast, episode 60. Vectric has been constantly innovating, constantly putting out new stuff and making it easier. One of the things that I think is cool about it is they've added the ability to visualize your fourth axis stuff on there, and that's really cool. This is the CNC Router Tips Podcast, a show which answers one question from you, the listener, about CNC router tables, CNC software, hardware, web hosting, and business. I'll help you get started in your CNC hobby or business and help you cut through the confusion.
Today's episode is sponsored by themakersguide.com. The Maker's Guide. Useful tools for makers.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the CNC Router Tips Podcast. I'm your host, Bill Griggs, and I'm so glad that you could listen in on this podcast today. Today is the time we're going to do episode number 60 of the CNC Router Tips Podcast, and we've been experimenting with some new software, which will allow us to do a live broadcast on Facebook. And that is OBS Studio, which is an open source software package that allows us to do live broadcasts while we talk. Now, for those of you who haven't heard of the CNC Router Tips podcast before, it's a show that talks about using a CNC router table to make pretty cool things, anything that you really want, like those airplanes back on the wall there, or the drones, or signs, or any kind of project that you can make with a computer-controlled router. It's like a wood router. So we've been doing this podcast for about 2 years, and this is the 60th episode, and we just wanted to try something a little bit different today. There's been a lot going on in the CNC world for me. I had a very busy summer, doing many different projects. Right up until August, I got to go to the Podcast Movement Conference, which is a really cool conference for me to attend. I enjoyed going to that just because it allowed me to meet other podcasters and to speak with them. It got me really excited and happy to continue. Which you wouldn't guess by the number of episodes that we've put out lately. And that, be that as it may, right after attending that conference, I went on a trip to Connecticut to visit MasterCam. It's actually CNC Software is the name of the company, but they produce MasterCam, which is perhaps the most popular CNC software that is used by industry, and we got to do something there in relationship to the education program that they were putting out, and it was a very good time. We got to meet the founders and talk with the folks in their education department. Got a really nice show around the place, and it was fantastic. And when we left there, we went down to Stepcraft. And we got to meet Eric Royer and check out some machines that they had there at Stepcraft, including the new Q series machines, which are built much larger, stronger, bigger machines for somewhere in between the commercial and the line and the hobby line. It's really a nice addition to the lineup, and I got to see a little bit more of the equipment that they have there and the machines that they have there, and we're going to be doing some future episodes with one of the machines that I have here. It's completed, ready to go. So right after that, I got injured. I hurt my back, and I was out flat on my back for about 2 months. And obviously, doing a podcast episode was the last thing on my mind because I was trying to get healthier, and I'm feeling better now, and able to get back in the shop for periods of time. But Oh man, if you gotta, think about something like this, take good care of yourself, take good care of your back, and treat it with respect, because it will be tough. I see we've got a couple of people tuned in already, and I'm hoping that one of them will leave a comment in the chat box to let us know that we've got good audio coming through and everything. If not, it really doesn't matter, because later on I'll probably sync up the audio from this broadcast with the video and release something. So this is a totally different way of doing shows for me. I'm used to just being behind the mic and not in front of the camera. Thank you, Cameron Myers, for letting me know that we have good sound, and Aaron Sherman, sounds good. Fantastic. That's a great response. I appreciate it, guys. We tried this a few minutes ago and didn't have audio hooked up in it. One of the first rules of broadcasting is make sure everything's plugged in. And the USB adapter that I have for the microphone was not plugged in, and so we didn't get any audio. So I'm glad that we got that solved. It's always an adventure when you're using new software and a new process to do things. So it's a lot of fun. One of the big things that just recently came out that has got folks excited in the CNC world, Vectric Software, they make VCarve Pro and Aspire and a few other things, and this is an example of one of their products that they use. But they just came out with version 9.5 of the software, and they added a whole bunch of features to the software that makes it easier to use. And I'm going to be doing a future episode where I'm going to go down through all the new things that VCarve does for you. I've been using Vectric Software since it was VCarve Wizard, which is way long ago, like 2008 or something like that. Ridiculous. Maybe 7. I'm really not sure how long ago that was. But when it first came out, it was just a wizard that you used. It wasn't a full-blown program, and then they turned it into a software product, and it's gone from there. Very cool story with them. But I'm really looking forward to going into some of the details of the new software. Vectric has been constantly innovating, constantly putting out new stuff and making it easier. And one of the things that I think is cool about it is they added the ability to visualize your fourth axis stuff on there, and that's really cool. Hello, Keith. How are things down in Beaumont, Texas? It's kind of cold up here. I hope it's warm down there where you're at. Aside from the VCarve Pro 9.5, I've been working on a project of my own. One of the things that I have often wanted to be able to offer somebody is information on how I do things and what processes I go through, because I get a lot of questions from the listeners about how do you do certain things in like V-carving a sign or finishing or what feeds and speeds should I use and that sort of thing. And so I began work on a book about the CNC and things that were that were common, that everybody should know about it, kind of a 101 kind of book on CNC. But I realized that it's going to take me quite a while to finish that. And so instead, and in addition to that, I came up with an ebook that I'm almost done editing now. And the ebook just takes you from the beginning process of making a CNC project all the way to the end of it, in a series with pictures and everything. And so I'll probably have that out very soon for those who are interested in something like that. And, I hope that you will find it useful and enjoy it. Because, again, it's one thing to have the information scattered all over the web, but it's another thing to have it all in one place where you can, go through and read and find out about a particular section that you're working on or that's giving you trouble. So I hope to have that out soon, and I hope that's something that you guys would find useful and interesting. To be honest, it is a partial repurposing of articles that I've written all over the place, because I've been doing CNC for quite a while, and very active in forums and things like this. So I'm gathering some of that information together and just putting it out there so you could have something sooner rather than later. So that's cool. The other thing that I wanted to talk about was a new product that I was working on. And this is a product for sale, actually. One of the things that is cool about having a group with nearly 14,000 members in it is that you get a lot of new people coming in, a lot of people joining the group, and they have a lot of questions. And for the last few months or so, I've been compiling the questions that the new people have asked when they join. And, gone down through, I've got over 1,000 answers to, the two questions. What is the biggest problem that you're having, and what do you need help with? And, that sort of thing. So I've got, thousands of responses to that, and I've been going down through and tabulating. And a couple of things keep coming up. Probably the most common thing that comes up is about speeds and feeds. What bit to use, how fast to cut, what materials, what bits, that sort of thing. And that, that's a common question that we've got answers for, and we're working on getting together with the help of some folks that we know, the answer for you on that. The other question that comes up quite a bit is about tramming your spindle. How do you go about getting your spindle to cut flat and plumb in regards to the machine, the spoil board, the material, everything, so that you don't have waves and ridges in your part as you're cutting. And so I started addressing that, and I've been working on coming up with a solution for that, something that's not expensive, that anybody could grab, throw into their router, and in a short period of time just tram up their machine. It's nothing new or major, but the idea is to make it affordable, to make it something that folks can quickly take and use and move on. I found that it's a good idea to tram, a couple of times a year when you're doing it. So it's not a one-time product, but the whole problem is most people don't know how to do it, and most people don't have the proper equipment. So that's kind of what I'm working on, and I'm sourcing the stuff from stores that people can get. Just run out and get the parts that they need, in addition to the part that I would be supplying, and we'll see how it goes from there. But if you think that's something that would be of use to you, let me know. Hit me up, and we'll talk about it. The idea is to, keep a very, very low price, below what the currently available products are initially, and then to develop it and get it better and better and better, and iterate and come up with the ultimate thing. But for now, you just get out the minimum viable product that you can, and see where it goes. So I will be sending out information about that shortly, and again, if it's something that you think you could use, let me know. It'd be great.
Today's episode is sponsored by The Maker's Guide, creator of the Triple Edge Finder. Get the edge you need, save time and frustration on your CNC project, and make setup a snap. Save time and material. Set up your workpiece on your CNC router table faster than ever. Accurately set your Z-axis height first time, every time. Automatically locate the corner or edge of a workpiece. Reset your starting point in the middle of a program. Quality crafted right here in the USA on US-made CNC machines. Get the edge you need today. Go to www.themakersguide.com/edge. The Maker's Guide. Useful tools for makers.
The last bit of just CNC related stuff in producing this program is producing more video for Facebook and for YouTube, and for doing these things really required better equipment than I had. And so I spent a little bit of time researching things that would help out. And one of the problems I've had when I'm doing videos is in the shop and working in the Tormach or trying to work in the router table and doing something is you're holding your camera, usually an iPhone or whatever, up, and you're constantly bouncing and moving, and it makes some people motion sick, and it doesn't really give good quality video. So over the summer we had our anniversary, and my son got me a present for our anniversary, and it was something that I thought would really help out, and it's a camera gimbal, and it was this one. It's the Smove SMOVE video stick, and it's really cool because it allows you to take your camera, your phone, or whatever, and here's the actual one for those who aren't viewing it right now. I will put a link in the show notes to this product, and you could watch it live. But it's basically like a selfie stick that has motors on it which hold your smartphone, and when you turn it on, it you can hear it click. It goes to a preset position and is stabilized, and so if you move it from side to side now, or up and down or whatever, it still keeps the camera in the same plane and position that it was in before, so it gives you very smooth video of whatever it is that you're shooting. And it also has the ability to pan around, just using the joystick mark here, moving back and forth or up and down, the tilt. Okay, and you can also twist your hand and it will point in a direction as it's going. Pretty cool piece of kit. It has an adapter that you can plug in that will use this whole thing. It's all got lithium-ion batteries in it, and it will power your phone while you're doing your video. And it also has a shutter release and lots of other things that you can do to take pictures with it and everything. But the really cool part is it has this screw-in thing at the bottom that serves as a tripod. So you could actually set this down, and I'm trying to do this on a laptop, and it would then be stable and be able to move and around. Now another cool part is it has the ability to lock onto your face and follow you around the room as you move, so when it's sitting still. So really pretty cool, pretty advanced little device, and it's about $140 or so. And they're really coming down in price, because something like this would have cost $500-600 when they first came out. But I'm hoping this gives me the opportunity to do more videos in the shop, and more better quality, better better production value. Oh, I forgot one thing. It also, just like a selfie stick, it will telescope out to move the camera further away from you and collapse down to a small size. So anyway, that's a Smove, SMOVE mobile, and I will have a link to that in the show notes in case anybody wants to check it out. I think it's pretty cool little toy. So those are the things that are going on right now that will help me produce better shows. The other thing that I ended up getting, and I can show you this, by the way, if Sean Fairburn is out there, thank you, Sean, for the camera. This is a what they call a shotgun microphone that I'm using on this camera when I'm shooting out in the shop, and it's very directional, and it picks up the audio of the whatever you're doing, because a lot of times when you're shooting and you get far away from the mic, they can't hear you. Well, this thing really zeroes in and gives you good sound. That is probably the best kept secret on Amazon. That thing is $24. Normally these things go for 100, 150, whatever, and it sounds fantastic. And I found out the reason that it sounds so fantastic is because it's made by the company that makes some of the bigger production mics for them, but this is their own cheap knockoff brand or whatever. But I will also put a link to that microphone. I don't remember the name at the moment, but it's a series of numbers, whatever. I'll put a link to that out there in case you're deciding that you want to shoot video in your garage or in your workshop or whatever. That's a really cool way to do it. In fact, Kingsley Grant is my co-host on the Podcast by Friday podcast, and we did a whole episode where we talked about microphones that you can use when you're doing podcast or creating Facebook videos or whatever. And we came up with 3 mics. One was a lapel mic called a lavalier. The other was that shotgun mic I showed you. And the third is the one that I'm speaking into now, which I'm going to bring in front of the camera, which is the ATR 2100 by Audio-Technica. That's about a $60 microphone. So, I mean, all told, between the Sony lavalier, the shotgun mic, and the ATR 2100, we spent maybe $110, and we had a microphone for every kind of broadcasting we would do. It's really cool. So, I'll put a link also to that in the show notes for anybody who wants to go and listen to that podcast episode where we talk about those things, because there's links in there where you could go and get it if you wanted. So, pretty cool stuff. Lastly, before we're going to end this episode, I want to talk about a project that I just saw inside the CNC Router Tips group, and it was really, really well done. I asked a question earlier today, what you were working on, what projects you were working on today, and one of the fellas, who responded to that had just made some flags, and it was Daryl Shriver. And Daryl had used some walnut, and maple, and cherry, and he made a United States flag that waves in 3 dimensions, and really, really sick looking. Sick means good in this case. Really, really nice flag that he did, and I just wanted to, shout out to Daryl and say, great job. I thought that was an excellent project, well executed. And there are just so many other cool things inside the group that guys are working on, and that guys and girls are producing that really just floor me and make me realize just how how much talent is out there. So keep up the good work, guys. It's awesome to see what you're doing, and I really appreciate you sharing your projects with the folks inside the group, and I really do appreciate that. And Keith, I'm just looking through the comments here. Keith asked me what the camera was selfie stick was called, and it's the Smove SMOVE Mobile. And he's hoping to get one for Christmas from his wife. So I hope your wife is listening. So Keith also asked if I'd ever heard of a Pre-6 controller. And yes, I have heard of it, but they were kind of older technology that I'm aware of. There are probably newer ones out there. You said it runs on floppy drives. Time to upgrade that. Unless it's doing some work that is crucial that you keep doing, and it's still doing its job. Yeah, floppy disks have pretty much gone the way of the dinosaur. So that's it. I'm not going to continue very much longer on this episode, but I just wanted to get one out there to let you guys know that I am still here, still wanting to produce the podcast, and still ever so grateful that you listen in when I do. And I appreciate you sitting through this adventure, because it's watching a talking head for a half an hour can't be the most fun. As we get further along with this, I'll be able to figure out how to do things like share the screen for the different programs I'm working on. I'm hoping to do a live broadcast as I walk through features of VCarve that I can post up to Facebook at the same time. So that one may actually be gone on Facebook. Wow, look at all the love coming. Thank you, guys. I see those hearts coming, and I really do appreciate that. Let your friends know about the podcast, and have them catch up on some old episodes. I'm hoping to get some of my previous guests to come back. I'd love to have Sean Fairburn stop in and talk about the First Makers Battalion, which is something that he's been working on with veterans, and it sounds like a really cool project, and I'd love to hear more about that. I'd like to have Father Ed come on and talk about the work that he does at his homeless shelter, where he is actually training people in the use of CNCs as a way of getting job skills, so that they can go out and create a new future for themselves. And there's so many people who are doing so many cool things in this right now that I would love for you to hear from. And we're just gonna keep going and hoping that things continue. So if you enjoy the show, please leave us a comment, give us a like, a thumbs up, whatever it is. The best thing that you could do is tell your friends about it and have them listen in. And wow, I see them just going up. This is really cool. If you would like to check out past episodes of the podcast, you can do that. And let's try a new thing here. You can go, let's see how long this takes, to the CNCRT60.com And that will take you to the website where the podcast is hosted. It has all the old episodes there, and you can, go through all 60 if you like, and, hear about them, and, check out what we've got there. I think there's a lot of good episodes. There's something there for pretty much everybody. So again, it's CNCRT60.com. And, check that out. Give us a review on iTunes. That'd be really cool. So with that, I'm going to bring this episode to a close. I often mention many different types of software during the episodes, and hardware and cutters, and it can get a little confusing. So what I did was I put together a page on my website, CNCRT60.com/resources. And on that page, I list all sorts of resources there, from books to tools to software, all the things that I use that make my CNC experience better and easier. And I hope you'll check it out. So again, it's CNCRT60.com/resources. Now, if you'd like to have your question featured on the air, here's how. Need help? Ask me about your CNC router question on my podcast, the CNC Router Tips Podcast. I'll be glad to help, or try and get you the help you need. I want this podcast to be a fun and personal experience for everyone, and helpful. So let's keep it real and ask sensible questions. Please use common sense and show courtesy to everyone. That way everybody wins. Here are some guidelines to ensure that your question is qualified to be featured on the show. Please keep your questions under 1 minute in length. If it goes a little over that, that's fine, but don't ramble. If you have a website and URL, you're allowed to share it, but only once during the recording. Spammy or disrespectful or deeply private questions will not be considered for the podcast. If you need to ask more than one question, just make each question a separate voicemail. Thank you so much for listening in to the CNC Router Tips podcast. I'm your host, Bill Griggs. Have a great day, everyone.